My name is Macy Christoffersen, and I have your devotion for this week. So my text will be Joshua 14:12 through 13. So now give me this hill country of which the Lord spoke on that day, for you heard on that day how the Anakim were there with great fortified cities. It may be that the Lord will be with me, and I shall drive them out, just as the Lord said. Then Joshua blessed him, and he gave Hebron to Caleb the son of Jephunneh for an inheritance. So personally, I haven't heard too many devotionals or messages focused on Caleb. But the ones I have heard, and from reading the Word of God for myself, he is a great man. There's really no denying what an awesome man of God Caleb was. And I think that there's a lot to learn from the example of his life. So for today's devotional, I want to talk about Caleb. Actually, I want to talk about 4 key aspects of Caleb's character. Number 1 is his faith. Although faced with challenging and dangerous tasks, Caleb's faith never wavered. So Caleb was one of the 12 spies who went into Canaan to scope out the land before the children of Israel would go in to conquer it. All 12 agreed that the land was bountiful, and it was beautiful, and it was flowing with milk and honey. But 10 of the 12 were intimidated by the fortified cities and the Anakites, who were a race of very tall and very scary-looking people. So Caleb and Joshua were the 2 that were not afraid. They had fearless faith. Let's go in immediately, they said. The cities are strong, the people are large. It's scary, but you know what? With God as our helper, we can conquer this land. Wow. They were brave. Caleb was very brave. He had great faith. Number 2, his integrity. Caleb kept his integrity even when he suffered due to the sins of others. Unlike Caleb, as we said, the Israelites were terrified and they were faithless. God punished them for their unbelief by making them wander in the wilderness until every single person who refused to obey had died. Even Moses sinned and didn't get to enter the promised land. So this left 2 men standing, Joshua and Caleb. These men did everything right, as far as we can see, but because of everyone else's sin, they had to wander and they had to wait for 38 years. A long time. But even through all of that, they kept their faith in God. They waited patiently. They served their brothers and their sisters. They continued to trust that God would do what he promised, that he would come through for them. For 38 years, they remained faithful. A lot of us can't say the same. That is very inspiring. And then number 3, best way to put it, he wasn't jealous. God told Moses that he wouldn't be entering into the promised land, and thus it was time to appoint a successor. And clearly, as we know, there's only 2 candidates for this job, Joshua and Caleb. Both of these men were wise, godly, faithful, and brave. And they were bold too, really. But God, as we know, chose Joshua, and Caleb was passed over. There's not any injustice here in this decision. God knew who was the most qualified to lead the Israelites. But knowing what we know about Caleb, he was worthy and he was capable of the role as well. And I'm sure he was aware of this too. He's probably thought, you know what? I was faithful. I have done nothing but give and serve to this mission and to these people and to this God. I've done everything. So, I mean, he's a human being, right? He's not an angel. So I imagine it may have stung just a bit to get passed over. Even Joshua was his friend, but that had to hurt a little bit. I was in the running for that. Well, he deserves it. You know, there may have been a moment. I don't know. Wasn't there. But he's human, as I said. And so I imagine it might have hurt just a little bit to get passed over after giving so much of yourself to the people and to God? I mean, I know I would struggle with that. So, how did Caleb handle it? Did he holler? Did he moan in true Israelite fashion? No. He just kept on serving God. And even beyond that, he supported Joshua. He gave him his wholehearted allegiance, and he continued to fulfill his duties as a leader. From what we can see, he did not waver. And number 4, Caleb went the distance. Once the land was mostly conquered, it was time for the Israelites to settle into their respective cities. But Caleb didn't take this as his opportunity to finally rest and to quit the mission. He grabbed his sword and he kept on going. He requested, he asked to go into the land that was still occupied. So he wanted to keep fighting. Now, mind you, this is after 85, a whole 85 difficult, challenging years of wandering, fighting, and waiting. After all of this, Caleb still had the right attitude about serving God and fighting for him. He wasn't tired out. In fact, he was getting excited. He's like, this is what I've been waiting for. He hasn't lost that fervor and that boldness when he had this other opportunity, another opportunity to conquer the country still inhabited by giants. This is the same area of land. He's like, we're here, I'm taking it. He still wanted that area that had intimidated the other 10 spies. And this is something I find especially incredible and unique about Caleb. When he could have justifiably asked for an easy retirement at however old he was, he asked for instead a dangerous task he could accomplish with God's help. Caleb is without a doubt an amazing man of God. He belongs, in my opinion, right up there with all the other heroes of the Bible that we pull inspiration and motivation and encouragement from. So, kind of the thought that I want to leave you with very quickly is, if you're walking through a challenging season of life right now and you're dealing with a lot of the things that he went through, you're suffering from someone else's sins maybe you had the right idea but you're suffering because somebody else had the wrong. You're tempted to take the easy way out, say, I've done enough, I'm good, I've filled out my quota for the day or for my life and I'm just done. But you know that there's more for you. Or maybe you're even getting passed over for a position, or really that fits into so many different areas of our lives where we're getting passed over by somebody else for something we feel that we're deserving of and we're capable of. But maybe Caleb's example can be an encouragement for you today. So if you're dealing with any of these things, my best advice to you is to look at his life and to ask God to give you the heart of Caleb. He can help you not only to take on challenges that you face, but to seek them out for God's glory. So I pray that this devotional makes sense and touches you today and is timely, and that I presented it in the right way. So God bless you. I hope you have a wonderful week.